The following are actual comments made by Professor Gregory during our labor and employment law classes. And we present to you now, before everyone, a typical day in class. Prepare to enter the world of the extremely weird and the weirdly extreme.
Professor, I was wondering if you could discuss free speech rights for workers under the Constitution.
Well, the Constitution's great and all, but what about that Declaration of Independence? Whatever happened to that? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness? No, we've got his property. The right's so nice they named it twice.
Professor, I think what Amanda was maybe trying to ask is if a union is picketing, there's certain restrictions on unions under the NLRA, and in terms of what the purpose can be of the picketing, and whether it's primary or secondary. And so it's a very complex part of the statute, and trying to understand it, and in particular how that intersects with the First Amendment. Do you think you could help us with that?
Well, on the afternoon shift, anything can happen.
Professor, how about New York? Does any provision in the CPLR address this issue?
CPLR? At Hofstra, they think the CPLR is a life-saving technique.
Okay, but Professor, so here's what I'm really wondering. Does the Americans with Disabilities Act protect people who are obese?
Query, as they say in the Socratic biz. What your answer to that would be if Jay-Z got me pregnant, and I also have restless leg syndrome, and I'm originally from Micronesia. Do you need to call co-counsel?
Professor Gregory, thank you so much. We're also wondering if maybe you could tell us what the statute of limitations is for an unfair labor practice claim.
What would a serious cow weigh?
Okay, Professor. So also, I guess in the same vein, what's the statute of limitations for an EEOC claim? And can you just go through the general process of filing that kind of claim, because it's a little confusing how that all goes.
Ian, don't commingle funds. We can figure out everything else later.
Professor, is it a violation for an employer to take a survey of how employees may vote in an upcoming election?
Andrew, there are really only two sins left. Don't smoke and don't wear fur. Unless you're 1,000 feet away from the building, you'll be shot on sight. Look for a person smoking, and he's 500 yards away in a scrub brush, huddled like a POW, lighting up a gigantic cigarette in a raccoon coat.
Okay. So part of that question is that I don't think you quite addressed there. If an employer is doing that, how can a union shop steward get involved, and what would their role be in that situation?
You remember that dog, Spuds McKenzie? What if he was your shop steward?
Okay, well, Spuds McKenzie's a cool dude and all, but that aside, Can you just give us a little bit of, I don't know, recent case law or something about this? Just something we could actually put on an exam?
Ever notice when you read cases that something has gone wrong in every one of these babies? And then you start hearing counterintuitive, counterfactual, counter, as they say in law school lingo. Assignees, assignors, obligors, obligees, oblidees, and oblidas.
We'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you. But Professor, maybe what we're trying to, I guess, really understand is the intersection of some of the ideas we've discussed so far this semester. For instance, we had some other cases about Social Security and workers' comp. How does that maybe relate to the issues we've been talking about?
Privatized gain, socialized loss. Not exactly good for a corporate logo. You guys kind of stall out when trying to name a Canadian hero, huh?
Okay. Well, would an intentional infliction of emotional distress claim be preempted?
IIED? That's just lawyer talk for you. Better fix this fast.
Okay, so what if there's an IIED claim and also an OSHA investigation? How are those two things going to relate to each other? Does one preempt the other, or does one put the other on hold, or and what about the statute of limitations issue is big. Can you help us out understanding that? It's a little difficult to understand.
OSHA is there to make sure you're safe from the vermin patrolling the premises and the percolating pit in the back with a bunch of jackalopes running around the place surrounded by exploding space weasels.
All right, well, how about this? Can you at least, give us some job advice?
First, you have the interview. They'll ask, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? And you say, I'd be a sturdy oak, a supple birch. And if they ask you what your 5-year plan is, you tell them Mao had a 5-year plan. And if you get the job, they'll say, welcome aboard. It's always something nautical. Then you should get to know the senior secretary, who knows where all the bodies are buried, and make sure she doesn't bury you.
Well, welcome to a day in the life of class. Professor Gregory, on behalf of the outgoing executive board, we want to thank you so much for an incredible 3 years. We wish we could have another 3 or 10 or 20 or 30 in this case, but unfortunately at some point we all have to escape your office and go out into the world, but we hope we make you proud. So thank you, congratulations on the 30 wonderful years of teaching at St. John's, and we wish you all the best.